Three, two, one, and hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Chat with Adam. I have my coffee right here. And does Dr. Robert Duncan have his
water today? Water today.
We go with water. That works. So today is another episode of Coffee Chat with Adam. I'm really happy that you're joining me on this series of episodes. Today we have a very interesting episode, and you're gonna love it. Trust me. I'm joined by Dr. Robert Duncan from Queen Mary University, London. And Dr. Robert Duncan, how you doing?
I'm good, Adam. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a real pleasure to speak to you, and look forward to our chat.
As I said, today we're going to be talking about Queen Mary University, London. So we're going to start the chat, and I'm just going to go and ask Robert, could you please tell us more about your duties at the university, your position, and also what do you do in general?
I'm the regional manager responsible for recruitment from Vietnam. I had the pleasure of living in Ho Chi Minh City for 3 years. I was a teacher in a school out there. I lived in District 11 near Dam Sen Water Park. So I'm very fond of the city and the country, and enjoy meeting Vietnamese students both here in London and when I get the opportunity to travel to Vietnam. I work with our partners in the country and visit the country. One of the great things of my job is that I get the opportunity to meet with friends who still live in the city, who also the option to kind of just go and visit old favorite restaurants and stuff like that, and see how things have changed.
There's so much to explore in Vietnam, and the people there are just so friendly and welcoming. But I would like to stay on the topic and ask you more about Queen Mary University, London. I think this is something students would like to know more about. You know, some of the unique points that differentiate university or Queen Mary University, London, or that of other universities.
Well, Queen Mary University is a well-renowned university around the world. We have a fantastic reputation for research and for teaching. One of the main differences I think about Queen Mary is that we are a campus university, so students live on the campus, they study on the campus, but obviously we're located within London, which is a fantastic world city. When I speak to students, most students initially think about London. It's obviously the most famous city within the UK.
Yeah, no, definitely that's a very unique aspect of Queen Mary University, London. I think this is where I would like to add in on the benefit of studying NCUK IFY is that it's a good introduction to this environment, the university environment, the large university environment that you're going to be faced with as a student when you're going to the UK. Because the NCUK IFY program, it prepares you, first of all, for the university life, but as well as training you to become a better student and integrates you better within the Western cultures.
Yeah, we've actually found that with students who've come to Queen Mary. I think they've found that useful. Queen Mary is an incredibly diverse student body.
True.
To kind of speak to other students from other countries because everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's kind of feeling their experience a little bit. And I think it's a really advantageous for you to be your students to be familiar with kind of the culture and also what London is like. So
yeah,
kind of familiarizing yourself with London as a city before you come and learning a little bit about it is fantastic.
Yeah. I think Queen Mary has one of the largest diverse campuses, I would say, in the UK, when it comes to international students.
Yeah, we have students from around 160 different countries.
160, wow.
They comprise around 35% of the entire student body. So we have a large contingent of UK students as well.
Incredible.
Many students from kind of different countries from around the world. And I think that's because we're a well-established institution. We've been around since the mid-18th century, kind of 1785. So
1785.
Long track record of education. Wow. And we also have an active alumni network around the world. So many of our graduates who are now working are strong advocates of Queen Mary. And we find that ensures that we have kind of students from around the world who speak to one of our alumni or speak to me at an event in Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi, and then they find out a little bit more about it from others Vietnamese students, now graduates who've gone back to Vietnam, and that's kind of reassuring for a student when they're thinking about which university to study at.
What kind of platform do the student have this opportunity to connect with the alumni?
So the university is actually just developing kind of a way for applicants to contact with. So you don't even have to be a current student at Queen Mary before you start engaging with alumni from around the world. We also use.
How does this work, if I may ask?
It's a bit technical, but we have an alumni office who they have. So, for example, for students who are starting in January and September year at Queen Mary, we're running a whole host of series of webinars to get them up to speed with the university kind of life in London. But from an alumni perspective, they will also have the opportunity to attend alumni sessions. Normally in country, we would have alumni meetings where in Vietnam, I might deliver an update on the university, some students to talk about their time at Queen Mary, and then just an opportunity to network. One of the things I hope students will get from today is that it's important to build contacts and to speak to people who've experienced Queen Mary. That will provide you with reassurance that it's the right step for you, and I would encourage students to really engage with that as part of the application process, and learning from NCUK, some more alumni, just to make you confident about your decision to study in London.
Definitely agreed. Yeah, but that's good. I think so. Students can access this website online, right? So they don't have to really contact with the university directly.
So they have to be kind of in our applicant.
Sure.
Pool. But once they are there, they will have the option to contact alumni.
All right. Got it.
It's some of the best ways. I mean, I work at Queen Mary, but some of the best knowledge comes from our existing students and from our former students to progress their careers after studying our programs. So obviously we try and match business and finance alumni with students who are interested in business and finance programs. Because they will be able to give an alumni view on studying at Queen Mary and how the degree has actually helped them in their professional lives.
Definitely. This is good to know. I think we can definitely go through this in the future once we have applicants who are interested in the university. But this is good to know, so they know at least for a fact that there is an opportunity for them to connect with the students and ask some more difficult questions about jobs, probably some more information about the university.
Yeah, so on our website, it's possible, there's a link to speak with existing students, and you type in a question and you would normally get a response within 24 hours.
Oh, that's good.
It's like just a way to engage with current students as well. I mean, they're our best ambassadors because they're living the experience, so they speak authentically about what it's like to be a student.
Sure. Okay. This is trust me. Like the thing that I always recommend to students, like, do your research. Don't just come and be like, I need some help. It's like, do research a little bit. We'll help you, but do some research. So I think if students know they can go online and chat with some of the campus ambassadors or the university ambassadors, then they can get some information, some more details about the campus or the university to those students as well. That's also great, really good.
100%. I mean, we have some lively social media feeds as well, kind of updates.
Perfect.
News in the schools. They have Instagram, Facebook, everything kind of that you'd expect. And I think you learn a lot from the institution just by following the feeds. And
true.
To do is working with NCUK is to make the student feel very comfortable and almost to feel part of the institution before they've even arrived. That's our hope and aspirations, that you know a lot about Queen Mary before you've even become a Queen Mary student.
True. And this is why we're having the session today. We're talking together.
Of course.
Yeah. So Robert, thank you so much for actually going into so incredible details about especially this alumni tool that a student can actually use, but also being able to connect with the campus, the university ambassadors as well through the website. But I think one thing I forgot to ask you about is, could you tell us more about like the teaching methodology that the university uses? I think this is something that a lot of students are interested in knowing more about. Is like, are there any work integrated learning, internship opportunities, for example? How does the teaching methodology really look like at the university?
So I'm going to just split that question into two. So I'm going to talk about
Sure.
two. So one is that Queen Mary is a member of the Russell Group within the UK.
Right.
Now, when I mention that, students kind of think, well, that's not that important. But actually, it is important because the Russell Group is a group of the top 24 universities in the UK, and they receive a lot of the research funding that from government to conduct research projects. Now, when you first arrive at university, that's less important. But as you go into your second and third year and maybe even study a postgraduate or study a PhD, the research life of the university is really, really important. How we affect our students on undergraduate programs, because we are able to attract world-class researchers who are working on all of these projects because we have the government funding, directly relates to your undergraduate experience, because these professors are teaching on your program. You can go to a lecture in your first year, your second year, your third year, and learn directly from the world expert in that particular field. And that's something that's intellectually incredibly satisfying for our students. Just this morning, I listened to a radio and there was someone talking about medical testing. They were from Queen Mary. So there's kind of a lot of academic conversation happening within the institution. And I think you want that as a strong student to be intellectually challenged at university. Otherwise, there's no point in going. The second point I'd like to make is that we are obviously located in London, but we're located about 25 minute walk, 25 minutes walk, depending on walk, the financial hub of the city, which is called the City of London, which is a little bit confusing because London is a city, but the City of London is the financial district. So what we try and do in our kind of business and finance programs is to give students a taste of life in the city. So our academics come from a variety of backgrounds. Some are kind of purely academics, but some are also business people who've had a long and successful career, but then who've transitioned into teaching on some of our university programs and have that business background. So the blend of the two, aligned with your proximity to the City of London, where you will have the opportunity to work on projects, you'd be able to have the option to apply for internships, and to network yourself to get a feel for the city and what it's like, because not everything will be handed to you on a plate. It's up to you as a student to go the extra mile and to reach out to some of these companies. There's a lot of rejection sometimes, but that's life. So the more you kind of persevere in trying to finding the area that you would like to work, but having the proximity to the city is a good chance for you to make the most of your overall study experience. So I guess to conclude is the overall strength of our academic teaching staff, the research background of the university, the worldwide reputation we have for kind of world leading research, and also the proximity to kind of work experience opportunities within London. It's a really potent mix for Queen Mary.
Sure. No, good points, especially about the Russell Group, because this is something is very underestimated when it comes to students, like hearing about the Russell Group. They're like, oh yeah, okay, I heard it 1,000 times, Russell Group, what is it? Thank you for explaining it in such details, because even to me, it was something that I know about, but what you explained to me have taught me something about the Russell Group and the importance of Russell Group as well.
I think it's very common, because I remember many years ago when I was a student, and I didn't really understand why it was that important. But then actually, once you go through it, one of the statistics is that Russell Group graduates on average earn around 10% more than non-Russell Group graduates. So there is a clear financial benefit to a Russell Group institution. So you get a slightly better outcome in terms of salary.
Right. And this is
and I think
important point.
If I was to speculate as to reasons why, it's because we have a strong reputation. We have that alumni network. People know that when they hire a Queen Mary graduate, what they are getting. They're getting somebody who's been through 3-4 years of a high class degree.
Yeah. So there's a lot of value to the Russell Group. Like, it's not just Russell Group. So the students actually know now, okay, there's a good benefit for me to come to a Russell Group university or university within the Russell Group. And I think, thank you for explaining that in details. That's really, really beneficial. Trust me, I read a lot about it, but I didn't know that much. But now you told me so much. Like, this is incredible. Even I learned something.
That's good.
yeah, definitely. And talking about the financial, being close to the financial center in London, or you called it London Financial Center?
The City of London, it's
the
called.
City of London, yeah. And having the opportunity to be so close to all these companies, all these firms that you can access to and apply for internships and jobs, and even like it's possible to also get part-time jobs as well when you're studying in London, right?
Yeah, so you can, when you're a student, you can work in term time up to 20 hours a week. Outside of term time, you can work up to 40 hours a week.
40 hours a week, okay.
And the UK government has just recently introduced a graduate visa, which allows students to work for 2 years after they graduate. So I always say to students, it's important to try and get some part-time work experience, because I think it doesn't matter what type of job you do, you learn a skill.
Yes.
And so when you're a student, you shouldn't really expect to be working in a investment bank. That's just not how it works. So, but one of the things is, like, I used to work in a wine shop, and I would meet many people from around the world from many different backgrounds, and I think it helps you appreciate how to engage with different cultures and how to sell effectively to different cultures, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think no matter what job you do, you learn something from it. And there are many opportunities for part-time work in London for students. And a lot of our students also benefit from being able to apply for kind of summer internships. A lot of the summer internships take place within London. So there is kind of a migration of students from other parts of the country in the summertime to come to London during the summer. But a benefit for our students is that you're already here and attend interviews. You can attend kind of days where because a lot of internships now are as competitive as jobs in the best firms. So it's having that kind of access. Instead of a 2.5 hour train journey, you hop on the tube and you're there in 15 minutes. So it's just things like that. There is a value.
Definitely. But so you're talking about, like, students can apply for internships and also jobs, but do the students have this opportunity, or do they see this kind of list? Because I know you did say you encourage the student to go and, like, apply for jobs themselves, but does the university have a career office that also supports the university, the students with their applications, or do they have recommendations to which firms or companies the students are suggested to apply to?
We have kind of a jobs board for kind of current vacancies for kind of more student that are available whilst you are studying. We also have a careers office who do a fantastic job of preparing students for they will kind of look at a CV and suggest tips. They obviously can't do the interview for you. What they do is they have, like, mock interviews. They will have because we are known by employers as being a strong university. We will have institutions that come to the campus. They will advertise on the campus. They will deliver talks to our students, because they recruit from particular courses for particular jobs. So there is a strong track record of engagement with employers on the campus. Again, all I can stress is that I think the harder you work, the luckier you get as an individual. I think it was an old golfer used to say that. So the more I practice, the more successful I get. It's amazing.
True.
That applies to everything you do, I think. The career service is there to support you, but at the end of the day, it's incumbent upon you to find those opportunities. And what we do is we point you in the right direction. We help you as much as possible and provide advice and guidance.
And then it's up to you to, take all this help and then put it into action, and then find the job that suits you the most. And again, we've already talked about it, but the alumni network is invaluable in that. Definitely.
When you speak to the professors on the course, they can tell you what certain graduates have gone on to. So there's a million stories from our courses, but it's just kind of finding out from the people who've been through it and the people on the programs. And you mentioned LinkedIn before. Actually, that's quite a good resource to just get an idea of where people have gone, who they work for. You can do a little bit of research on there, and I encourage students to get a profile early. It's a professional social networking site. It allows you to do a lot of research yourself, find companies you wouldn't necessarily know about. So part of you promoting your brand whilst you're a student, essentially.
True.
Because you don't want to leave it to the end of your studies to try and get a job having done no preparation or no work. So we live in a world where everything is online now. So I think kind of as much professional work online is really, really advantageous.
And it's actually getting easier and easier nowadays. With just a click of a button, you can apply and connect with somebody. It's not like before. You have to call, you have to wait for a letter to arrive, and you have to, it's just too much of a hassle. Nowadays, it's just becoming easier. So
what you're precisely right. And one of the things that I say to international students, it doesn't matter where they come from. In London, there are always companies from Vietnam, from Thailand, from Hong Kong, and these companies obviously are good hunting grounds for students to get some work experience. Because you want some UK, you want some global work experience, but having kind of that connectivity with maybe you're familiar with from being in Vietnam that have a London office, you have an advantage because you know about that company perhaps more than someone who's in the UK. Maybe it's a developing company, maybe it's a startup or something like that. So I think if throughout the 3 years, it's good to kind of get 2 or 3 different types of work experience. So no matter what you're going to do, you can demonstrate that you've enjoyed and utilized London as a commercial center whilst you were studying.
Definitely. It would look great on your CV. Wherever you go, you can take that experience with you. You want to stay in the UK because you had the 2 years work opportunity because of the new law, or you want to go back to Vietnam and take that experience with you, or even work in Southeast Asia. That's perfect because it's going to be yours. Wherever you go, it's always yours. This is incredible. This is the world we're living in. So it's fantastic opportunities are open for you. You just have to take the leap. Don't be afraid. And this is where the support comes from. It comes from the university. Students know this. I should know this, and now they know. So that's great. Talking about those points, I think is very important nowadays because a lot of Vietnamese students that I speak to are interested in starting their own company, or when they think about a university, they think also about the job opportunities that I could have through the university and also through the degree that I study at that university. So I think we mentioned these points, and it's really it's beneficial to the students. And I thank you for sharing more information about it. But I think we can go to a more kind of like something that I should have asked you in the very, very beginning, which is about the requirements for NCUK IFY. So students who are watching or going to watch this series are actually NCUK IFY students. So they're currently doing their degree, and they're probably going to wonder about, what kind of requirements does the university have for NCUK IFY students. So we're talking about the the stream subjects and the EAP scores.
So normally we would look for kind of something around AAB. We are a selective institution, so we do get more applications per place than a lot of universities. We try and recruit the best students to study with us. That, I think, points to our quality. We want leading minds. We want intellectually curious students. In terms of the English level, we look for somewhere in between B and C in EAP score for NCUK.
Okay, so between B and C. So for the subject streams, we're looking at AAB, and for the EAP score, we're looking at between a C to a B. So the higher the better, of course. That will increase your chances.
Some courses may be ABB, but we want kind of generally AAB.
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of our courses kind of have an emphasis on some mathematical skills. So if you are kind of mathematically minded, that's good for you in terms of the business programs, the finance programs in particular. And one of the things I'd say about the English level is that obviously you'd have, being on the campus, you'd be using English on a daily basis, so your fluency would improve. And one of the things I encourage students to do is to continue learning English formally throughout the time you're in an institution. We offer kind of supporting classes, because some students may arrive fluent already, and that's fantastic. But don't just stop learning English once you've got an offer of a place on the institution, because you want that as a skill from your time in the UK to be totally fluent. And you may need like a particular score on the EAP, NCUK, but that's, and you then get admitted onto the program. But don't think of that as like, oh, I don't need to continue learning English. Please do, because the stronger you are,
Yes.
the easier the content, the academic content of the program will be.
True.
I'm very aware that students come to, obviously they've had the preparation at the NCUK as to English preparation, study skills, the course work. You don't want the stress of kind of struggling with English whilst you're doing your academic work on the degree program.
True.
So it's important to do that. Sometimes.
No, I agree.
But you pick up that on a day-to-day basis anyway.
Yeah,
So when you're having a coffee with another student or something, you'll talk about the football, you'll talk about shopping, what you did.
True. Yeah. No, definitely. I absolutely agree with you. It's a lifelong skill. You can never stop learning it. It's always like getting developed. But like you said, never stop thinking like, okay, I got a score of an A in EAP, so it means I'm perfect. You know, I'm not gonna touch English anymore. You know, nah. Yeah, still a long way to go.
Yeah, even because at university you're dealing with new
True.
theories, with language at times. So you will. I remember when I was a student, again, to go back, I was learning words. So so kind of there's, you want that.
Yep.
That's why they're, because you want to come out challenged. But I think it's important to prepare as much as possible.
True. And academic English is much more complex. And then even though you're learning academic English, you also need to develop your professional, like business English as well at the same time. So you're not really just learning that English that you thought you were learning in school. You're expanding on that at university, and then you will have to expand it even further when you enter the career world, because you have even more complex English that you're going to be using, and the format changes, you know, because we've done academia, both you and I, and we know how, you know, academic English, like you use it very academically, very professional. But when you go to the career world, it's even it's more different. Like even the simplest thing is the email. When you write an email professionally in the career world is different than the email you write to a professor. So that's one of the things in English language that is always like, you have to keep learning it. So I agree with you. Yeah.
And the emphasis in the UK in terms of, you'll be doing a lot of presentations, you'll be speaking to colleagues on the course. We want our students to kind of work on projects, real life projects. So what may be kind of a little bit challenging at first is challenging for a reason, because you come out of it as a well-rounded scholar and a well-rounded candidate for your professional career.
Absolutely. It's a great advice. I'm sure students, you're watching me. You're watching me. It's a good advice. Keep that in mind, and please keep learning. Never stop learning English. This is why we're here. Okay. So another thing that I'd like to ask you about is the scholarships. I think I get this question every day whenever I talk to students on a one-to-one. They're like, "Oh, what are some of the scholarships that are available to me as a student that's applying to Queen Mary University, London?" Okay. So
we have a raft of different scholarships that are available. So we have a section on the website under the international section. There is a scholarship page. Some of these scholarships are program specific. So maybe they have been given as a gift maybe 5-10 years ago, and there is for a particular program. So all I can ask is the students go onto there and research a little bit, depending on the program that they're after. Have some kind of business scholarships, some scholarships for our law programs. They vary between kind of £2,000 to £5,000 depending on the year. and the setup of the program.
Mm.
They are competitive, so they are awarded to the strongest students. They are based on academics, based on personal statement. Often, some scholarships you have to apply for, but some you're automatically considered for.
Mm.
So we have many students who, unfortunately, although they are very strong students, because it's competitive, they still don't get a scholarship because there are other strong students or stronger students.
Yeah.
So, in short, we do have some scholarships available.
Mm.
And if you're a strong candidate, you will be considered for them. But it's not easy to get a scholarship.
Sure. No, it's good. I think competitive scholarships are better than just those automatic scholarships, because students have to work for that scholarship, and it feels good sometimes. The student who work really hard and then get the scholarship, they feel very good for getting that scholarship. So, from my experience talking to students, I feel like a lot of them just love to have these competitive scholarships because it makes them feel like achievement. It's like an achievement that they have unlocked. So it's good to know.
And especially because it is a fantastic thing to be able to put on TV to get a scholarship from Queen Mary. We are highly regarded, and because we have high entry requirements, because we are selective, because we don't kind of give scholarships to every student. Something, so it is a
true
commodity essentially to be for you as a student. Really great thing to be awarded, and I don't want to sound down on it, because we do get students from Vietnam who've been awarded scholarships, but I just have to say that it is competitive.
No, it's good. It gives more value to the scholarship as well, like you said on the CV, when it's when like an employer finds out that he actually got a scholarship from Queen Mary University, they would be like, okay, wow, you actually got a really competitive scholarship, so you worked really hard, and that's good. I think it's good. I think the more competitive the scholarship gets, the higher the value of the scholarship, and the scholarship itself as a whole, not just for the money, the value I'm talking about the value of the title for the scholarship. So I agree with it being competitive. So just something to mention about, or something I would like to ask you is, because as you know, in Vietnam right now for the NCUK program, we have the first cohort launching in mid-March next year, and we're focusing on the business stream for that NCUK program. So a lot of students who are actually applying to the NCUK right now are interested in the business stream at the university. So what do you think that, or in your opinion, what differentiate the faculty of business at Queen Mary University compared to other universities or other education providers who have also a faculty of business? What can the student benefit from applying to the faculty of business at Queen Mary University London?
So the faculty is extremely strong. So Queen Mary is really well known for business, for finance, for science and engineering, for law. Those are our and medicine. Those are our core subject areas, if you will. So in the business programs, there are a huge variety of modules that you can study, kind of human resources, digital engagement, project management, everything kind of, it's worth checking out the modules on each particular program, because the strength of our programs really is to go back to the academics, is that they are experts in that particular field. We're able to really get an idea about the programs themselves by looking at the modules, looking at the content, our engagement with, as I was mentioned before, the kind of city, with local business.
Yeah.
We like our students to have practical experience as well as academic work conducted on the programs. I think obviously many universities offer business and business management. So in the first year, there are a lot of kind of core modules that every institution, you will not really see much difference, because that's just the introduction to university life. But in the second and third year, because we have a really strong faculty, that is where you'll see the major difference in terms of the quality and the precise nature of some of the modules that we offer. Students are really able to select modules that are of particular interest to them. they're not all kind of one size fits all pushed in one direction. There is a really easy way to shape a degree to kind of what's interesting to you. Now, some students, when they come, they won't really know what's interesting. So you develop through the 3 years, you become interested in a particular area, and you can kind of mold your degree a little bit in that direction. Obviously, we very strong in IT and computer science as well. So the digital side of things is really embedded in amongst all of our business programs as well.
I think this is the reason why I ask about the business faculty, because nowadays it seems that a lot of students are interested in starting up their own companies, as I mentioned earlier. So them knowing about like the kind of like this, the unique points, especially like finding out that the university actually offers more than just a degree for you to study, but also if you're studying this business degree at the university, you're also getting extra support when it comes to like what knowledge you're gaining, as well as, you know, possibility for you to get extra support if you consider like starting up your own company or your own business in the future, whether it's in Vietnam or other Southeast Asian countries. So I think this is something that I also would like to see if we could emphasize on in here, because can students actually get support when it comes to if they consider like opening any kind of small startup, if they have that like in mind, like because
we have had students who we have like modules to do with business and entrepreneurship. That's kind of part of the degree program, but also we have students who set up companies whilst they're being students, and we have a supporting network for them. They can bounce ideas off. They often, these students normally come from a business background. They're studying a subject, so they kind of want to normally entrepreneurial minded. So there are societies, so student societies set up for business, like entrepreneurship as well. I think the formal help is there, the advice and the guidance. The form is there for you, but also the academic kind of intellectual information that you learn on your course will obviously impact upon that. That's that's our offering. But creating a business plan, for example, will be part of many of our business programs. Implementing the business plan is there we can support that in terms of some more kind of like Shark Tank activities. But there's information available on the website about that, in particular in the business pages. Often the students engage with academics and think, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think, what flaws do you think there are? It's a big risk sometimes, because you're a student, and sometimes it's a lot to do.
True.
But I think because we attract kind of entrepreneurial minds, it's more common at Queen Mary than you'd imagine, actually. And being in London as well, they have mentioned before, if you have a really entrepreneurial minded student who has these ideas, maybe even set up a company already and just bringing it to London and then can pitch to other people in the city, then what a place to do it.
The reason why I ask this question, because I'm really inspired by students who actually come up to me and say, I really want to start my own business. You know, I have this idea and I would like to have, you know, I would like to know if the university will support, like, or give me some kind of advice. And I think them knowing that, you know, they can use the university to ask for some consultations, like, I have this idea, you know, and they pitch it, and that if there's, they give them some feedback, it's really good to know that they receive this kind of support as well.
I would say the university, unless it's a total no-brainer idea, wouldn't be investing in it. That's not the role, but there's definitely their advice there for you want to take that step. And again, hang on about it, but the alumni stuff, we have talks, and kind of the connections that can be made there, working in a particular sector. If somebody's student's got an idea, they reach out to an alumni, they're going to probably consider it more.
I love how much you emphasize on the alumni, because I really realize now how important it is, because I wish I used it more when I was in university.
I think it was a bit more difficult for kind of students. I don't know how old you are, Adam. but it's certainly in my time it was a little bit more harder, because LinkedIn. So we had, it was a little bit more of like an old boys club school network. Whereas now kind of access to this information about who studied where, what they're doing is a lot more freely available if you're willing to spend the time to research. And the thing is that alumni of Queen Mary are proud of that, so they'll advertise it. So we have our alumni pages that you can look on LinkedIn. I follow them just to kind of get stories for myself when I'm speaking to students about who's done. It's a really interesting way to learn. We have 9 Nobel Prize winners who were former students of Queen Mary.
I didn't know about that. Wow.
So that gives you an idea of kind of what some of our alumni are going to do.
Incredible. Wow.
One of the things as well in the press at the moment, I was on about the testing before. So Queen Mary is hosting some of the testing that's going on in regard to the COVID, yeah. And those tests for old people's homes are taking place within the university. So the university is kind of validating the testing process because our strong medical school.
Right.
They're working with testing companies.
Well, with that said, I think I just have one more question.
Sure.
Not really a question, but it's more of a, what kind of advice do you have for students? So our students who are watching this, they're really excited. They're eager to start the NCUK qualification so they can come to the UK next year. But what advice do you have for those students before they study the NCUK, or probably before they start the university life? I think that's a better question.
Yeah, I think the more research you do about your study choice, the program at NCUK, the better. So it's good watching these talks and visiting university websites to learn stuff and to speak to academics is always valuable. The course options that are available now are unparalleled. So it's sometimes I speak to students and they have a rough idea of what they want to do, but the only way that you come to a firm idea is by speaking to people, by listening, by doing your own research. Yeah. So I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to look into the academic background of some of the academics teaching on a program, because that does impact upon the modules that you'll learn. It's something, not every course, not every business management program is the same. Some will have particular specialities. I would also encourage you to, if you're interested in coming to London, to kind of start looking at Time Out London. That's kind of a guide to what happens in the city. It tells you a little bit about
Time Out,
social, sporting, nightlife that's happening in the city. And it's always good to come to university with kind of 3 or 4 things you'd like to do through the year that are not related to the university degree. The university is an experience. It's the unparalleled freedom that you'll have is probably during your university years. So the option, the intellectual curiosity, but also kind of the option to partake in kind of the cultural life of London is fantastic. And to get excited about that, to learn a little bit about that, to get a taste of the city before you come is something that I would encourage you to do. And lastly, it's probably every student, it doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter like if they're from the UK and they're just coming to London, from Thailand, from Vietnam, Brazil, wherever. Every student when they arrive is a little bit anxious and a little bit nervous. It's that's life. That's perfectly normal. Yeah. So throw yourselves into things that you perhaps wouldn't normally do. Join a society, join a sports club that you've been interested in but never done before. If you play football, join the football team. Turn up. Everybody in the first few weeks will be in exactly that same position. Nobody knows anybody else. So the first year is a really important chance for you to make lifelong friends. And don't just kind of stick to kind of the first people you meet with. Obviously, they could become great friends of yours, but you want to kind of really put yourself out there and get involved. Because everybody's in the same boat. Everybody wants to have a good time. Everybody wants to learn and to progress their careers. And the more you put into that and the kind of less fear that you have, the less anxiety that you have, True. I can guarantee the better experience you'll have.
True. Yeah, you got to try to get out of your comfort zone.
Near where Queen Mary is Shoreditch. And Shoreditch is well known as kind of a nightlife and restaurant, really good shopping. But the thing that is less well known is that there's also a fantastic area for Vietnamese restaurants. So in kind of a 15-minute walk, there are that's where the main area of Vietnamese restaurants is in London. There's kind of about 6 or 7.
Nice.
Like kind of within a very small area, and they're quite they're good. I give them a kind of an 8 out of 10, not a 9 out of 10 like in Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi, or a 10 out of 10, but a good kind of solid 8.
8 is okay.
Yeah,
but it's you know, especially if you're feeling homesick, you can go there and have some nice Vietnamese.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely
cuisine.
better. It's definitely better. Vietnamese food in London now is definitely better than it was. 10 years ago.
What about Vietnamese coffee? Can you find that in the UK as well?
That's hard. It's possible, but it's harder to get. I actually make my own. I buy the tins of what is it? Kind of sweet milk.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of cafe suada.
Yeah. The
sweet milk at the bottom, and you mix it up with a nice ice. So when I have time at home, I make that for myself.
Nice.
Barley ingredients, but it's not quite the same because you don't have a right kind of whilst you're drinking it and the kind of noise. But it's if you're homesick, it's not a bad not a bad little taste of home. So
true.
And I hope to kind of see some of the students in the future.
Hopefully, yeah, definitely.
I always come back with kind of 4 or 5 big bags of coffee. Vietnamese coffee here, but it's just more expensive.
True. Yeah. I'll make sure to get you to some Vietnamese coffees when I go to Vietnam. If I go before you do, we'll see.
We'll make a deal, Adam. We can.
Definitely. Well, Robert, thank you so much. Actually, I don't have any more questions. I've had an incredible talk with you today. You've been so kind. You answered a lot of questions, and I'm sure the students are super grateful to you for being so informative and detailed as well. But yeah,
my pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. I've really enjoyed it. It's nice to speak to you, and I hope the viewers
likewise
have learned something from it. What I like to do is to talk about general advice. Obviously, we hope to see you at Queen Mary, but that wherever you decide to study, you've learned something from the talk today. And good luck with your future studies at NCUK, and hope to see you either in Vietnam or in London soon.
Oh, definitely. So we're going to end the episode here, everyone. So thank you very much for watching the show or the episode today. Thanks again to Dr. Robert Duncan from Queen Mary University, London. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.